Imagine being incarcerated for over 10 years. Imagine being sentenced to life in jail or in prison for life for 35 years. Imagine being arrested at a time when you are the number one music star in your country. And then imagine your freedom being taken away from you and how your fans feel about it. But then, imagine losing your celebrity status for a prison uniform and not having the ability to do what you love most, making music. And then remember back to all the times that you were on top of the charts, you know, getting invited to so many events, receiving free goodies, sponsorships, and enjoying the life of a celebrity. And all that is just taken away from you because of a serious decision that you made on your part, a bad one at that cost you your freedom and essentially cost you your career. Now, that would shatter most artists' lives. Most don't recover from that. Most don't get a second chance. And most, you'd never get to hear from them ever again. Unless they have pre-recorded music that they have in a vault somewhere or that someone is keeping for them. And that is how you get to hear their voices again or see videos of them again. And in most cases, the record company would then be making animated videos or using old clips to try and keep their visual memory alive to their fans. But now picture this. Imagine being arrested at the top of your game. Well, imagine being an artist and then being arrested you're at the top of your game, right? You're a number one artist. And you spent essentially a decade behind bars. Or just over a decade behind bars. But in the time that you've been arrested, let's say 2 years in, 3 years in, 5 years in, right? You could argue that you had recorded 1,000 songs before you got arrested. And now you're releasing those. And now your record company is releasing those songs, 12 at a time, 15 at a time, because they have a lot of music to go through, right? So imagine being arrested, and for every year that you've been incarcerated, you're still number one on the music charts. Now, most people would argue that that's not possible. How in the world does a person who's behind bars keep being at number one for over a decade? Now, in the case of Tupac, for example, he was arrested, he went to prison, and while he was in prison, his album was released by his record company, and he had a number one album while still being incarcerated. So that's understandable because it makes sense that he was busy recording, he had finished recording his album when he got arrested. So the only thing left was maybe mastering and promotions for the album. So it would make sense. But in this case, I'm talking about Vybz Kartel, the Jamaican superstar who was arrested for murder in 2011. And at the time, Vybz Kartel was arguably Jamaica's most famous, most popular dancehall artist. In fact, I think he's Jamaica's most famous dancehall artist of all time, outside of Shabba Ranks and maybe Buju Banton. But safe to say that he is undoubtedly Jamaica's most talented dancehall artist. You know, he may not be the most famous. I think Shabba Ranks globally he holds that dancehall record as the most famous Jamaican dancehall artist. But when it comes to talent, I think it goes down to Vybz Kartel. Now, a lot of people are speculating that Vybz Kartel is obviously recording in prison because since 2011, he's been on the charts. Number one, number two. But he's dominated dancehall from prison since 2011, since his incarceration. Now, many argue that he has a lot of songs that he pre recorded, and that's what they're releasing now. Excuse me. But then another thing that people argue is that the topics he's speaking about are so relevant in today's world. How does a person who was arrested in 2011 get to speak about topics that happened in 2021, 2022, 2020, 2023? How does a person who's incarcerated manage to clash or release diss tracks against an artist and give reference to events that are happening to that artist in 2020, 2019, 2021? A documentary or a news clip. A journalist went to the prison, Horizon Prison, where he was being held at the time, and they went to investigate how Vybz was able to release music year after year and stay on top of the charts. And even the prison officials couldn't give an explanation as to how he was doing it. They even went to a producer that was busy with his beats, and the producer said that they're using old beats that were pre-recorded. Now, I can't argue with that. I mean, sure, pre-recorded beats, but then how do you explain the modern day lyrics? And he said he chops up old beats and he adds them, and then where they can't find relevant lyrics to suit a certain narrative, they bring in other artists to voice over the parts that they needed to be voiced over. Now, my argument is sure, that could be possible, but let's be honest now. There's no way, no way, no way, not a chance in hell that a person can stay that relevant for that amount of time. Because if it was possible, Tupac could be a living example of that, right? And R. Kelly would be a prime example of that, you know. I mean, yes, I know a lot of artists have unreleased material, but that unreleased material cannot be an infinite amount. It has to be a definite amount. According to official statistics, Tupac has released 700 songs during his lifetime. That is released and unreleased music. Altogether, they say 700. By which this time they're only releasing 12, 15, maybe 24 tracks at a time, making double albums. And you can even hear that the topics and the issues that his songs are speaking about do not reference current issues that are affecting the world. You know, I mean, now with AI, you can now impose voices, but I don't know if that's possible with Vybz Cartel because on closer inspection, you can tell that the quality recordings are not the same as before he went to prison because you need someone who has a musical ear, right? Because you won't hear it just off the bat. But if you're really into music like I am into music, right, you will notice that there is a difference in the voicing. So it's either he's using a cell phone to record in prison that is then manipulated in studio because the audio quality is not the same as when someone is voicing directly into a microphone in a studio. So that's the way I'm picking it up from. So it's clear that Vybz Kartel is definitely recording in the prison cell. And what device he's using, I'm not sure, but it's definitely the sound is just not the same as a person recording clearly in a studio, you know. But needless to say, the production is good for someone recording on a device and then sending it to a producer. I mean, the final product is very good. I mean, although it takes a genius, well, not a genius, but a person with a good musical or a sound ear to actually hear the difference. Because just straight off the bat, just by listening to the song itself, you will not hear, well, to most people, they will not see the difference. They'll just say, like, wow, this is studio quality, you know. But to us who are in the music game, you can actually hear the difference that, nah, this was recorded onto something and then transferred to a computer. But having said that, let me know in the comment section below what you think or what you know about the Vybz Cartel story. Because of late, I heard he was transferred to a prison that has a recording studio. So whether he's allowed to make use of the studio or not is another issue. While others are complaining that prison is not a place where one should continue his career, but more like a place of punishment and rehabilitation, and a person should not get to enjoy the benefits of the outside world while being incarcerated. What do you think in the comment section below? Let me know. Holla!